Welcome back to Community Conversations. I'm your host, Steve Mantis, and my guest today is Herb Daniher with the United Steelworkers Union. Welcome back, Herb.
Thanks, Steve.
So we've got a little background in terms of your journey, in a way, seeing the union movement as a way to continue your participation in the community, in the workplace, and in the kind of social justice areas. So when did you end up becoming a staff representative with the Steelworkers?
Well, we had a sort of a railway structure under the TCU, BRAC, and then TCU is the acronyms for the Transportation and Communications Union. So we merged. Our membership was dropping. We were about around 20,000. We dropped down to about 12,000, and we were down to about 8,000. So we were looking for a new home because just economies of scale. It just didn't allow us to do. We were a national union because we were across Canada, and so we were stretched pretty thin. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had the grain elevators, of course, here in some plants that were like just localized, but for a lot of our units, they were across Canada. Trucking units for the most part in railway because we're a national transportation union. So we got courted by a number of different groups, but we liked the steelworkers because the steelworkers were proactive. They would get into the boardrooms. They wanted to have a say in what was happening at the workplaces. Some of the other groups were just, don't take any concessions, bury your head in the sand to some degree and let whatever's going to happen. And that's not the approach the steelworkers took then, and certainly not the approach the steelworkers now. They're engaged on an international basis. Our fights are global, and we were happy to team up with them. And when we merged in 1998, they took a number of us on staff. We were, as an executive vice president for the grain division at the time, so we assimilated into a steelworker staff position. We were in elected positions prior to coming on steel. So there's a bit of a difference when you're elected by the membership and accountable totally to the membership. You still are under the steel structure as well, but there's more direction in the steelworker structure as staff reps. And certainly they have a real good support mechanism pertaining to their educational department, their environmental department. They have resources, and they're big. I mean, we're huge. We're 225,000 across Canada in 3 divisions. We're about 500,000 in the States, and if you take us in total, with our retirees, we're over 1 million. So that's a critical mass that's very important. And our structure is evolving, where we were heavy manufacturing, which we still are to some degree, but we're starting to transition. Our service component is about 45% of our membership now. Some of our bigger units are with the universities. We have three large units at the various universities, and we continue to grow in that sector. We're in discussions. A lot of these groups are associations, and they're courting around the different groups, and they've been selecting the steelworkers because we have a proven track record, and again, we have a good reputation in all sectors, and really steel's made up from a number of different amalgamations. So for example, we're the 9th union to merge with steel in their history. There's been about 14 mergers as we speak now, and just different units that come on board. So we're a compilation of everything and anything and everything, right? And for example, I service hotels, food stores, grain elevators, shipbuilding, ship repair facilities, pulp mills, sawmills, trucking, short haul, long haul.
All in your position
drivers
here, based in Thunder Bay.
Yep, and of course, we have critical mass, and basically, if you looked at every sector in the economy, we have some critical mass in each of those sectors, and we can make a difference as far as what people are paid, even if they're not organized. We make a difference, and our social justice causes, we make a difference as far as some of the things, equity positions we're right now. Right now, we're doing a thing with women. They're still 30% underpaid. If you look at it by racial divides, like an Aboriginal woman is paid 40% less than men. So we have a campaign. I think there was a day of action yesterday pertaining to that. We're going to be participating in the Pride Parade in Thunder Bay for the first time. What's happening here is we organized the casino workers, for example, and it's given us a large component of women in the workforce. And so we have an active women's committee now, and we have a next gen committee, which is members under 35. We're starting to engage the younger members. I mean, I'm been around for a while. I started in the grain elevators in 1975. Although I don't feel my age, and I still think that there's relevance, and I can share my experiences, but certainly it's a challenge dealing with younger members. It's social media issues are very prominent. Today I was talking to my other cohort in the office. We both had cases where people were disciplined yesterday for use of social media at work, like cell phones basically. Surprising what people will put on Facebook. I'm not sure that people quite understand. There's a real message to be learned there about, it's for public viewing. And even if you take it down, somebody saw it. And we've had numerous cases. It's a new evolving trend in the workplace. And if you say something on Facebook, and especially if it's a threat or bullying or these types of things, you're going to be held to account for it in a much more stricter way than we've seen in the past. But so the world's evolving in those particular regards. There's lots of challenges out there, but hey, Steel's up to it, and I'm really proud about being a steelworker and having the opportunity to represent people in not only our workplaces but in the community at large. We do a lot of charity work. We're involved. People, we provide bodies or shelter house, for example. Through our Humanity Fund, which is a voluntary contribution process. It's been around for about 25 years. We do work on an international and national basis. We distribute about $300,000-$400,000 a year to food banks. If there's a crisis in Canada, floods, these types of things, they use this money that's collected from the members to help out those people in distress. Or when there's international tragedies, we donate to those types of things as well. But we do more than that. We actually get engaged where, for example, bringing fresh drinking water, building wells, building schools, bringing training for health and safety and whatnot to different sections of the world. It matters what's happening. It's about trying to bring everybody's standards up to a certain level. It helps everybody in the long run. Because right now, when you look at, for example, the trade deals and these types of things, the TPP and these types of things, I mean, the way to summarize that in my perspective is that the people that are really doing this kind of stuff are the people that want to move their production offshore. And they're the biggest advocates of these trade deals. If you're going to have trade deals, nothing wrong with that. It makes the world go around. You can't bury your head in the sand. But you also want to make sure that there's environmental and labor standards in those particular countries, and that people have a fair chance, right?
So the traditional idea that the union is just there for their members in that one workplace isn't entirely correct, it sounds like. The steelworkers have taken on almost the role of an international charity that is helping out both at home and abroad.
Yeah, and again, some of these projects we try to leverage, like different government funds if we can to do the good work we do. But yeah, I mean, it's important. Our fundamentals are at the workplace, but it also makes a difference. And as our international president says, if it's not us, who's it going to be? Like, who is going to stand up and deal with these travesties of justice? And somebody's got to do it. And if we don't fight back, push back, stand up, one day longer where we can, then they're going to steamroll over a lot of different people. And we have the ability, because we have a critical mass, to stand up and fight on both a national or international. The Crown strike that we just had regarding the can plant. Here's a plant that was the highest producing, most safe operation in Canada. They got or in their international chain, and they basically locked them out, and it's two-tiering. They want to pay people, younger people, less money to do the same job, these types of things. We call it two-tiering. And there was a fight, and there was a long struggle. But we went international. We went to the boardroom. We went to the other plants. It was a global solidarity issue, and we were able to resolve the matter. Maybe not to a total satisfaction, but certainly, they would have just rolled right over us if we didn't have sort of this fight back campaign. And you might have seen us at the beer stores in Thunder Bay, or right across Ontario, handing out pamphlets on various Saturdays, making people aware of what was happening with that particular sector. And we've got the ability to do that. We've done those types of things with the wood sector as well.
I'm going to need to hold you right there, Herbie. We need to take another break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.